Hello and welcome to the Connection webinar series. This is our first of two tracks on today's sessions, and we are joined by some of the leading lights within the trade associations for the global corrugated industry. We are welcoming Mike D'Angelo from AICC. We've got Angelica Christ from FEFCO, Tim Gray from the UK Sheep Plant Association, and Larry Montague from TAPI. Yes. So to the audience, we will start a few questions and we will look forward to feedback from you as and when. We hope you're enjoying the Connection virtual exhibition. So Mike, I'd like to come to you first, please, if I may. It's been a really interesting and challenging 7 months since the beginning of the COVID crisis. How has AICC adapted to the various changes in the way that we've been communicating with your members?
First of all, Dan, thank you very much. It's a great pleasure to be here on the Connection video with you and my esteemed colleagues, and we're looking forward to a wonderful experience when the exhibition opens up, and thank you for providing this forum. 7 months, it seems more like 7 years, actually, but everyone's been coping. The members have been coping. I almost call it a tale of two copes. They're first hit with this, the box makers as well as the suppliers, and they're scrambling, trying to figure out what the realities are. Here in the U.S., you've got 50 different states that handle things 50 different ways, and not a lot of guidance from the federal government. And you can debate whether that's right or that, as the debate's been going on for that entire 7 months. AICC, for its part, basically tried to make itself as useful to the membership as it could. We put up a daily COVID webpage because things were changing that quickly, so our members could go to the website to find out what's going on, at least as far as we were intuiting it. We also had a weekly COVID video conference that brought in more than 300 participants typically, which is a very high number of participants for an online event for us. It just shows how members were craving information, craving the ability to speak with each other and learn from each other and to help each other out, for that matter. And we delved into a number of programs, which I won't go into detail on unless you want us to, that basically brought everybody together so that we could move forward in the best way possible, helping each other out.
And Tim, if we jump back across the pond to the UK, I'm very aware that in those early days, there were quite a few webinar sessions that the UK Sheep Plant Association put on for its members. And it was a great honor to be actually involved in some of those sessions. But Tim, how fast was it after the various government lockdowns occurred that your members out to you as an association to say, we need support?
Yeah, we were acutely aware that we were due a conference and that wasn't going to happen. So I think it was the second week in March, a similar time to Brunton's, deciding that they would have a Zoom call around the industry. We decided that we would do weekly Zoom calls. The first week would be for for converter members, and the second week would be for supplier members. And we still alternate those Zoom calls now. So it was pretty smart, off the blocks in mid-March.
And Angelica, obviously from FEFCO's point of view, you're obviously covering all of the primary European member nations, and each of the countries had their own remits. But how was FEFCO positioned in those early couple of weeks and the first month during lockdown in terms of trying to coordinate messaging for all of your member associations?
Well, I think the messaging was not the key point. The core point at the beginning of the crisis was that we had borders locked and we were classified as an essential industry and we needed to open the border. I remember there were news coming from Poland that there was a traffic jam of 60 kilometers of trucks only. And that was the very first big problem we had to solve. And that's where our connections, of course, to the EU Commission's in a way paid off, and we could solve the problem relatively quick. And also the national associations, of course, made pressure on their own governments. But as a follow-up of that, the situation in the different countries varies very much. I had a few phone calls yesterday to check what's going on in the various countries, and it varies from not doing much to having weekly webinars explaining the situation, interpreting what the new government rules are. So there is a huge variety in Europe, and we as FEFCO are not really able to coordinate that because governments at not only national but also local level vary tremendously in their decisions and in their daily news. So it's really something you have to watch on the local level. We have also in Europe the language problem. Michael, we don't have 50 states with one language. We have a lot of countries with many languages, and also the federal systems in some of the countries, like Germany, where I come from, where you have from state to state, from 16 different states, you have different regulations. So it's impossible for FEFCO to coordinate any action except when it comes to real European issues. But what we did, of course, we communicated on the benefits corrugated is bringing to the market as an essential industry. And that we did quite intensively. We switched immediately our campaign and changed the issues we were dealing with.
Larry, can I come to you now, please, from Tappy's point of view? And obviously, I appreciate that you are covering a huge remit within the sort of the pulp and paper and packaging industries. But how did Tappy adapt over those opening months of COVID? Because obviously, you know, it must have been a really challenging sort of time for you to try and be sending out messaging to such a broad industry sector in the North American market.
Yes, again, thank you for having us here. I ditto what Mike said earlier. Glad to be with you guys. Yeah, we have members in 66 countries, over 6,000 members, pushing 7,000 members now. So it was quite challenging to do these things. Right out of the chute, our team, our senior strategy team, ended up driving to Savannah, Georgia, right before it really hit, to basically get a strategic plan together. And had our marketing people put things together. We decided to send out weekly updates on the COVID-19. We decided to have huddle ups on a regular basis with our teams at Tappy to try to listen to our division managers, as well as all the other divisions we have that are volunteers. We communicated quite clearly, I think. And one of the toughest things when you average 20 to 25 face-to-face events a year around the world is to let them know that we made a decision to take our members' safety and our employee safety to heart. And we ended up not canceling, but postponing all of those this past fiscal year. So it's been very challenging, as I mentioned, but at the same time, we opened up a communication factor called, it was a movement called, we started with Stronger Together, Better Together, and now Moving Forward Together. And we got the positive things from our members to send in what they've done on a dime, spinning around, trying to make masks, trying to do face shields, how to produce more toilet paper, those kind of things. And so we now have that on our website. And I just encourage people from Specialty Paper Europe early this morning to send in what they've done, and we post what they've done, their company's name. So, you know, it hasn't all been doom and gloom by any stretch of the imagination, and we're pretty bullish. We already have 6 large face-to-face plans for 2021, and we have probably 20 or 30 of the things we're doing virtually. And we're going to do a little crossover on that. I think you'll talk about later in this.
And Angelica, if I could come back to you, please.
Yeah.
Within FEFCO, you have obviously your technical committee and you have your marketing committees, etc. How have those committees have they really come to the fore and really assisted you with the sort of communication to all of the members? Because obviously it's been putting a lot of pressure on how an organisation actually communicates with its members. Have you been relying quite heavily on all of your committees?
Well, I think it is a challenge, and it was a more technical challenge at the beginning to find the best program that didn't break down and had a stable connection. But we continued all our committee work online. It works very well. Our companies are reporting back. This is great with working online because it saves a lot of cost. It saves a lot of time. I had one of our suppliers on the phone the other day, and he said in the last half year, he has changed completely his way of working and is enjoying it because he's not sitting on the plane all the time. So I think we had a good structure before. We are continuing that structure with different means, but we are continuing as much as we can. And of course, we canceled as well, Larry, our big event, which we had planned for May in Amsterdam. And we are discussing at the moment how to work the next year with the big event we are planning there, the technical seminar, but no final decision is taken there yet. So we are preparing everything to have every option open. But in a way, the communication did not change much. We used as much the web-based communication as before, and the meetings are now taking place at home. What I'm personally missing is the to sit face to face. Of course, it's a nightmare to only look at your screen, but not at people.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because I'd like to move back to AICC. Mike, your predecessor, Steve Young, who I know obviously is still very much in the saddle still with AICC, he said that we were certainly a handshake industry and a people industry. How's AICC adapted over the last few months in terms of trying to sort of engage and kickstart all of those various activities that you've been so strong at for many, many years?
Well, you're right. Steve coined that phrase, and he was, as I know is the vernacular there, spot on when he said that. And the difficulty is, of course, providing content, but providing it in a way that is delivered differently than AICC typically delivers it. We've always had a strong online presence. We've upped that game because of the circumstances. We now have, I believe, scheduled between the middle of September last month and August of 2021, about 50 online webinars for various content that will actually extend our reach into plants, because most of our in-person events are attended by the owners of the companies and the upper levels. Our education events tend to be more to the rank and file. We have more than 80 online classes. AICC's utilization of the online education exploded during this crisis, over 300% utility. The website visits were up 200%. But that said, we are planning on having our spring meeting, which will be at Amelia Island in Florida, April 26th to 28th. In person, we'll provide, I believe we'll have a hybrid component because some folks won't be traveling. We surveyed the membership. 67% of the members that responded, we had 160 replies, was pretty good for us. 67% of the members said they were likely or very likely to attend the event in April. So we see that as a coming out party and a chance to get back into the handshake business. The venue provides the opportunity to hold a lot of events outdoors, which I think will increase people's comfort level a great deal. But the key is to provide as much content as possible for all those that want to take advantage of it, whether it's COVID related, whether it's education related for the industry, or it's on the current events and happenings in the industry as well that are not COVID related, as we're calling it these days, COVID adjacent.
And Larry, it was very interesting just listening to Mike discussing there that he said that he felt that this was almost like a new era with which to engage deeper into organizations. So not traditionally just the CEOs and the plant owners. Is this something that Tappy's experiencing as well? Trying to drive down the information further into these organizations?
Very good point. Not only are we doing it with our members, we're doing it with our team, our staff, and we have huddle ups regular now, and it's so fun. We ask the 4 same questions. I won't get into them, but everybody's responding right now that, hey, I never got to communicate with so-and-so. They weren't in my area or whatever. And I'm the same way. I'm getting to go all the way down to, the guy that's the maintenance guy in our building that we own. And it's just, that part's been very nice. In the same way with the committee meetings we have and the online webinars, a lot more people are joining them than we ever intended to. I mean, one of the things, we had 350 people sign up for, and I didn't even know they were members, to be honest with you, because I just didn't know those folks by name at the time. But a lot of organizations are taking time to let this trickle down to other people that normally can't go to a face-to-face conference. So I think, in all, it's a big plus.
And Larry, do you think we could be in danger of almost being zoomed out and teamed out? How do you, as a trade association, how do you keep the content relevant? Because obviously, as individuals, we've all got bombarded with opportunities for webinars on new machinery and on paper process, et cetera, et cetera. So how do you go about keeping it really on point and relevant for the membership?
Question. Just a side note, we had one of our ex-board members, he sent an email in after we had our executive committee talk, our PIMA division, Paper Industry Management Division, and Association, I'm sorry. And he said, how can we have 6,000 members across the world and only 40 showed up for this? And I sent him an email back and said, hey, man, I was on 2 this morning and I was late getting on this one. So to be zoomed out, I think that's exactly a good statement. So what we're trying to do to keep it more relative, and Mike knows this, we go in together on this deal, but it's tech talks, short tech talks. We have 5 people that have machinery, and they have a certain amount of time. It's kind of like a new product showcase, if you will, when we're face-to-face. But this has been very well attended. We have some similar things like that for the pulp and paper industry as well. So it's got to be relevant, as you said. So we try to find out what's new and exciting out there. And also we ask people how they're dealing with the certain situation, the current situation that we have. And they're sharing things that are not competitive, non-competitive things, how they're getting through it. So it's pretty interesting.
Angelica, can I come to you, please, from FEFCO's standpoint? I'm sure you have had some quite interesting conversations with some of the sort of FEFCO sympathizer members who would be described as the machinery and service and suppliers. What feedback are they giving you in terms of availability for sharing their content with you to disseminate to the members?
Well, I don't think there's much difference before COVID or after COVID. There's a certain, they're using FEFCO as a sales tool. Let's be frank about it. We are providing a platform for them, which they can use in order to sell, to present what they have been doing. And they will be doing it in the same way, depending on whatever we decide to go for the technical seminar next year, which is quite an essential event for FEFCO, not so much from the monetary point of view, but more for keeping the structure with the sympathizer members, the platform that we have. So that's a big decision that we have to take of how to do that. But in general, I see a lot of things, to my surprise, continue the same way as before, but with different means. The big difference for me is it's much easier to organize meetings because people evidently have more time. They're not sitting on the planes and in the cars all the time. So even with our CEOs, we get a much easier chance to organize something quickly if needed.
Mm-hmm. So I'd like to now turn the conversation now slightly holistic, but I'm going to come to you, Mike, first, if I may. I'm very aware that we sadly have managed to lose Tim Gray on his connection. He's desperately trying to dial in, so we'll come to him towards the end. But Mike, let me ask you a question. What makes an association more relevant today than it's ever been before?
Well, I mean, it starts with the mission, which gives the association relevance right from the get-go and right out of the blocks. And in the case of AICC, since its inception in 1974, which I believe makes us one of the younger associations involved with this chat. But then it is the ability to bring the members together at a time when there is disruption in their businesses, in their personal lives, in everything that they know, which this pandemic has brought in this particular case. So the importance is you've already got credibility because you were serving your members with a mission and you were doing it well, or in the case of AICC, I believe we were doing it well. During this crisis, based on feedback that we're getting from the members, we have provided them with information that they've needed, either that we've gotten elsewhere or that we've generated, or created a forum where the members have shared information with each other. We've also created templates, a business interruption template, so that if a plant loses a machine center or has to go down because of a COVID outbreak, they can still get boxes out the door for their customers because they have a business plan in place to work with another AICC member that will take care of it for them. Kind of an outgrowth of First Pack, which is a longer concept that puts members together. The important thing is to have the credibility and then to have the content that keeps things relevant for the members, especially in an ever-changing world. AICC's fiscal year ended on June 30th. Our new one began on July 1st. Our renewals were running ahead of last year's. So that tells me that we're doing the right thing for our members. They are acknowledging that by the renewal rates being higher and us having to chase less members for their renewal, their intention to renew, but they get busy. So we feel pretty good about that. It's a confirmation that the relevance is continuing and expanding.
Okay, Larry, over to you. What do you feel makes TAPI more relevant than ever before?
It's always been knowledge and networking. We are the technical association for the pulp, paper, and packaging industry, and that's a big deal. And then 105 years of this. We just had our 105th birthday, September the 23rd. And I'm like Mike. We have certain segments of membership that are just jumping back in very quickly. We have some others that aren't so much. But we're still hanging in there with that. But I think it is this. This is the new frontier right now. Nobody's gone through anything like this in the whole world. And having that system that's been there, and Mike alluded to it, the track record they have, it's very important. And they want us to know that they want to know we're solid. We have to put platforms out there like we always have with new innovations. And trust me, this is a big innovation, new innovation that's come with COVID-19. We also just finished our 13th year in a row in the black, which I was scraping my nails across the chalkboard towards the end of our fiscal year, which ended August the 31st. But somehow or another, we were able to do that again. And I hope it's lucky 13 and not a bad sign. But when the new team, before the new team got here, it was 11 years in red ink. So we're really proud of our board of directors, our members, and our team here to stay like we are and becoming more important to our members.
And Angelica, I know that FEFCO's slightly different from AICC and TAPI in terms of the structure, as we were explaining earlier. But how does FEFCO use this COVID crisis to reinvent and make yourself even more relevant to the industry than it already is?
I don't really agree to your thesis. I think any associations always has this watchdog function. So we are there in order to react when there is a crisis, and we are doing that whether there is legislation coming from the Commission or from somewhere in the world. We have at the moment a couple of pieces in the legislation that we don't really like, and where we have to really fight to keep our products up. And a crisis like COVID gives us a chance to prove that we are well set, that we can react very quickly, which we did, and that we have to find new ways of working together and continuing what we are doing. But I don't think it's such a big deal for us as FEFCO, nor for our national associations, and that the importance did not really change. We were important before, I'm proud to say that, and I think we continue that way, keeping this watchdog function. I think that's my point of view.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Now, Mike, I'm going to ask effectively on behalf of you and Tappy and Larry, please, when Mike's had a chance to answer, maybe you could also give some viewpoints. But, without committing to anything, are you able to give us any sort of indication as to how the plans are shaping up for Supercore Expo for next year?
I'd like to defer to Larry on that, because Larry is the managing partner of Supercore. I would prefer to give him the lead position, and I would like to support what he says.
Absolutely. Okay. Sorry, Larry, straight to you.
That's okay. That's okay. I thought he's passing the buck there. It scared me. I'm just kidding. Well, first of all, Supercore Expo, as all intentional purposes go right now, we're going to be in Orlando, Florida from August the 8th through August the 12th, 2021. What we're doing to help that cause, we don't expect to have 8,000 people there, because restrictions may still be from overseas or international travel. So we're preparing for that. We're strongly looking right now. We are vetting different companies that are going to offer a hybrid to the Supercore Expo. So it will be live, unless a tragedy happens that we can't see right now. And then this virtual or this hybrid, it's going to be a combination. It's pretty cool. People that can't come can go on this and look at it, look at the same exhibits, hear the same talks, the technical information that's put out there, and then they will have that left for I think about 30 days after the conference. So we're really trying to plan ahead. I told somebody the other day, I just waited I feel like I'm in the Twilight Zone and Rod Serling's around the corner going to walk in. Start talking. But again, this is just so out in left field what's going on with us today. We're trying to stay ahead of the curve. But, with our good partner, AICC, and Mike and I, we sweat bullets trying to work this thing together. So we're planning on it happening. And Tappy's also has 5 other large ones that we're planning on happening in the year 2020. So I'll leave Mike for some comments.
Well, to add to what Larry said, Dan, the important thing to note is the confidence the industry has, not just in the industry itself, and things are going pretty well for the industry right now, but also in the event itself, Supercore Expo. The current exhibitors at 220 and 141,000 apologize for those of you out of the United States. I don't convert square feet. That is a stronger position than at 10 months point was prior to the last Supercore in 2016. So we're in a better spot with our exhibitors and their expectations. With a show that's been postponed from September to August of 2021, that just shows you how confident the industry is in itself and the industry is in the event. And that's the most important message I think that we can pass at this point in time. All the things that Larry said are of course important, because we want to serve the exhibitors, we want to serve the attendees, and it's a monumental challenge. And Larry's team has been doing a yeoman's job of staying out in front of everything that's been thrown at them, and AICC's team has been supporting them as best we can. We're looking forward to a great event.
Good. Now, I think we've got Tim on the line. Tim, can you hear us loud and clear?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, Tim, that's great. Well, listen, Tim, sorry we lost you for a few moments there, but we were touching on how the trade associations have been trying to adapt during the last few months. And Tim, you very successfully hosted an online conference for your members 2 weeks ago. Tell us a little bit about how you felt the attendance rates compared to previous events in real life.
Well, to be fair, we are a virtual association. We don't work from one centralised office. We never have. The executive committee is a group of unpaid volunteers who give freely of their time. We only physically meet at conference and the occasional committee meeting. So our committee members are spread all over the country. So meeting virtually has become the norm. Rather than meeting centrally at Manchester Airport, we jump on a Zoom call. The biggest challenge has been maintaining the close-knit sharing and networking culture of the SPA remotely. How do you do that remotely? Well, just regular contact. We've already hosted our first full-blown online conference earlier this month with time-relevant, industry-specific presentations, guidance and help from our Ring of Defence retained specialists, supplier spotlights, and even live on-screen polls. This event attracted 100 attendees. It was technically challenging, but it was delivered without a hitch and was universally well received. That said, it's not a permanent substitution for a physical conference. We're a tight-knit and sociable association that thrives on networking, socialising, pressing the flesh, having a drink together. So my own personal opinion is that we'll be meeting virtually, certainly for the next 18 months, but then hopefully back to normal.
It's as high as it's ever been.
Good. Well, I would like to thank all of my panel speakers today. We've run through just over 33 minutes. So Mike, Larry, Angelica, Tim, thank you so much. And on behalf of the industry, keep up this hard work because we need to be led from the front. So all of you, thank you so much indeed. It's an absolute pleasure having you online. And we will look forward to catching up with you, hopefully, in the not too distant future. Thank you, one and all.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dan.
Thanks.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
colleagues.